Hello and welcome to my video 2 on Suricata. For this video, I'll be running a Keylogger Spyware Sample. Again, I'm going to set my directory to the Suricata log file, and I'm going to firstly boot up Suricata to start tracking and logging any network traffic. With Suricata booted up, I can go and extract my Keylogger sample and run it as admin. I'll run anyway. And I can confirm that Suricata is working and that my Keylogger sample is working by again running my PowerShell script to confirm that it is capturing packets, which it is. I'll let this run for a few minutes and capture as many alerts as I can before I ingest it into my Evebox. Having now ingested my eve.json file into Evebox and made sure that I've set the time duration of events to the last hour, the first alert that I'll be diving into is this DNS external IP lookup domain in the DNS query, and then we have the domain here. So this DNS query is made to the IP of 10.31.137.21, and this is done on port 53. UDP port 53 is used by the DNS protocol to resolve domain names to IP addresses and vice versa. If it is left open and unrestricted, it can be exploited by attackers to redirect users to malicious websites, intercept sensitive information, or launch DDoS attacks. This alert has a medium severity of 2 and is something that can be further analyzed. The next emerging threat alert that stands out is this severity of 1 alert showing that Internet Explorer 6 is still in use and poses a significant security risk. Some background on Internet Explorer 6 is that it was released in 2001 and is an outdated web browser that lacks support for many modern web standards and security features, and has officially reached its end-of-life support. This alert underscores the vulnerabilities associated with using Internet Explorer 6, as it is highly susceptible to various security threats, including malware, phishing attacks, and exploitation to known vulnerabilities. An important thing to note here is the destination IP of 132.226.247.73. And the reason for this is that we can see in the alert following that this snake keylogger is using the same destination port as the Internet Explorer 6 alert, which shows that there is some correlation between the snake keylogger and its attempt to use Internet Explorer 6 as its attack vector. This snake keylogger IP check has one occurrence that Suricata detected, although an important piece of information in the alert header is this 404, a HTTP status error code, meaning that the requested resource could not be found on the server. In this context, it may indicate that a malicious actor is attempting to check for the presence of a keylogger or related component. A MATIX keylogger is a type of keylogger malware that can capture keystrokes and other sensitive information. The alert suggests that an attempt was made to interact with this malware or to check for its presence, and we can make a strong assumption through alerts later on that this IP address has some correlation to do with the command and control center. The suspicious activity of this alert is that there was a request to attempt to verify whether the MATIX keylogger is functioning properly or if it has been installed on a target system correctly. A false positive with this alert is the 404 error, and this can indicate malicious activity, or it could simply be a legitimate request for a resource that doesn't exist. The info external IP address lookup domain in DNS lookup, really free geo IP, is a DNS query that has been made to the domain really free geo IP and is associated with an IP address geolocation service. This shows Suricata has detected that my virtual machine on the network is attempting to resolve the IP address of this external domain, and this is typically done for geolocation purposes or to determine the origin of an IP address. Really free geo IP is a specific domain that provides geolocation information based on IP addresses. The suspicious activity of this alert is that if this lookup is occurring frequently or from unexpected sources, it may warrant further investigation to ensure that no malicious activity has taken place. Suricata has detected a hash for a service that was previously deemed malicious but has now been removed from the threat list. It can be a sign of a false positive or simply an indication of changes in threat status. And we can see that this hash is resolved from the same domain as the DNS lookup in the previous alert. And this does raise alarm bells of suspicious activity. The TLS v1.0 is one of the same alerts that appeared in my adware sample. A TLS v1.0 session indicates a strong hint of malicious activity because it is an older, outdated version of the transport layer security protocol. Because it's considered outdated and less secure compared to newer versions, using this version may expose the session to certain vulnerabilities, and again this session is tied all the way back to that original alert of the really free geoip.org domain. Let's Encrypt certificate from active intermediate E1 is a connection that is used as a certificate issued by Let's Encrypt, and specifically from an active intermediate certificate authority known as E1. A standout factor of using a legitimate certificate authority is for evasion and detection. A legitimate certificate from a recognized authority like Let's Encrypt can help a keylogger avoid detection by security systems that may flag connections to untrusted or suspicious domains. It increases user trust. A valid SSL certificate can make users more likely to trust the connection, believing it to be secure. Certificates also use data encryption, meaning that the keylogger could use SSL or TLS to encrypt the data it collects, such as the keystrokes on my virtual machine, while transmitting it to its command and control server, making it harder for network monitoring tools to detect the activity. And this conceals the activities of the keylogger by obfuscation, because by utilizing the Let's Encrypt certificate, the keylogger can blend in with normal web traffic, making it less likely for security measures to flag unusual behavior. It's common for cybercriminals to use services that provide dynamic domains or IP addresses, such as Let's Encrypt, to make it easier to create and renew certificates quickly, allowing them to change domains frequently to evade detection. And we can see that the keylogger is now changing domains because it is now doing an external IP lookup to a different IP check, din.dis.org, from the really free geoip.org domain previously. Telegram, a messaging platform, provides APIs that can be used for various purposes that include bots and automated messaging. The malicious activity of this alert is that if a keylogger or other malware is present, it might use the Telegram API for command and control communication. Attackers could utilize Telegram's infrastructure to send stolen data or receive commands discreetly. This alert does warrant more attention, especially if it appears in an environment, such as my virtual machine, where such activity is unexpected, and it is a strong indication of potential malicious behavior linked to the Keylogger spyware run before. Scrolling further up, we see two alerts associated with an Nginx server. Nginx is a widely used web server that can also act as a reverse proxy. A missing version string can suggest that a number of things have taken place, such as intentional configuration to obscure server details, a potential misconfiguration or outdated server, and the possibility that the server is being used to facilitate malicious activity. A malicious activity with using an Nginx server is that if the server is deliberately omitting their version string, this may be an attempt to hide their identity, which is a common tactic used by malicious actors.